comment, provide time for applicant and staff to respond to any issues that come up either from the citizenry or from ourselves, and then we'll make a decision on the decision committee to either accept with some conditions, deny, or if we don't feel the information that we need to make a full decision is available to us, then continue to a time date in a certain or in the future. So with that, I would accept a motion to open as the Board of Adjustments.
So moved.
Johnson. Okay, a motion and a second to open as Board of Adjustments. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. In case of the meeting as the Board of Adjustments, I would accept a motion to consider the Herring Barn Major Variance VA 20-0075.
I'll make a motion we hear Herring Barn Major Variance VA 20-0075. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open public hearing as the Board of Adjustments for VA 20-0075. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're in public hearing on this item. With that, I would turn it over to staff to present this item. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. As Chris mentioned, we're going to talk about the Herring variance. Case number VA-20-0075, which is a request to approve a major variance to the required side yard setbacks of 25 feet to allow for a side yard setback of 2 feet on the west property line, thus allowing modification of an existing non-conforming barn on the property located at 5211 Pine Ridge Drive, Olmsted. The property owner is Kurt Herring and is represented here today by his wife Judy Herring. The size of the lot is 2.53 acres and is zoned RA2. Their formal application submittal was on November 12th, 2020. The referral went out on November 19th and was returned by December 10th of 2020. And today, the Board of Adjustments hearing is on January 13th, 2021. The notification was required via mail, sign, and newspaper. The mailings went out to property owners within 1,320 feet of the subject property boundary on December 23rd. The sign was posted on property on December 23rd, and the newspaper was published on December 31st in the Elder County News. Looking at the aerial map, this is located in Pine Ridge Filing 2, roughly the intersection of County Road 21 and County Road 142. And looking at the surrounding zoning, it's primarily RA2 and R1 lots within Pine Ridge. And you'll see there in the center, 5211 Pine Ridge Drive is an RA2 property adjacent to R1 and RE2. So the existing conditions are such that the barn was a part of the property when the Herrings purchased it. Historically, the previous owner owned 3 lots, the lot to the west, the lot to the east, and 5211. When he built the structures, he built as though he had a single lot as opposed to 3 individual lots, thus not abiding by individual setbacks per lot zoning. So the result is that the barn, the south side of the barn is located about 2 feet from the property line. The north side of the barn is about 2 foot 8 inches off the property line. The proposal is, the variance is required because it is a non-conforming structure, and to bring that non-conforming structure into conformance before they do any modifications to that barn. So their proposed addition is only to the north side of the barn. As you can see, there's an angle away from the property line, so any additional building or modification to that barn will actually be farther away than the minimum point of 2 feet. The The application was sent to referral agencies per Elder County regulations on November 19th of 2020. It was received by the Elder County Building Department, Elder County Road and Bridge, Elder County Assessor, Elder County Engineer, Elizabeth Fire Protection District, the Town of Elizabeth, and the utilities that may have been involved, Phillips 66, Valero, New Star Energy, and IREA. 3 responses were received from the Elder County Assessor, the Town of Elizabeth, and IREA, none of which had any objection to the variance. So all variance requests are evaluated utilizing the criteria listed in Article 3J7 A through E of the Elder County zoning regulations. First A is by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property, topographic conditions, or other extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions of a piece of property. The strict application of the regulation would result in peculiar and undue practical difficulties for or peculiar and unnecessary hardship on the owner of the property, which is not applicable in our situation. Criteria B, the extraordinary and exceptional situation or condition on the property that is stated as the reason for the proposed variance is not self-imposed. The request variance is a result of the previous owner's land use activities that at this point cannot be tracked in historical documentation, and as such we work with what we have. Criteria C, the proposed variance complies with the purpose and intent of the standard view theory and generally observes the spirit of the zoning regulations. The intent of the side yard setback is to provide separation from uses in structures. So the encroachment of the existing structure has been existing for decades without incident or complaint. So it is valid in that criteria. Criteria D, proposed variance will not substantially impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property. The proposed variance will not adversely affect the adjacent properties. As previously stated, the structure has been in place and the adjacent lot has been developed as a residential lot since 1978. Criteria E, the proposed variance is the minimum variance that will afford relief with the least modification possible of the zoning regulations. Excuse me. The variance will fulfill all future modifications to the structure as construction will only take place on the north side of the barn. The building angles slightly away from property line from south to north, so any additional modifications will actually be greater than 2 feet from the property line. Our findings and recommendation are that 1, the proposal is in general conformance with the Elder County Comprehensive Plan. 2, the proposal meets the criteria commonly associated with variance requests. 3, the Elder County subdivision regulations are not applicable to this application. 4, the proposal is compatible with existing and allowable land uses in the surrounding area. And 5, the proposal will not result in significant impact to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents and landowners of the surrounding area. So staff recommends that the Board of Adjustments approve VA 20-00-75, subject to the following condition. The applicant will be required to remove the public hearing sign within 7 days of a decision by the Board of Adjustments. And thank you.
Any questions for staff at this time?
I have one. Did the neighbor to the west have any objection?
No. She's lived there for an extended period of time and so is familiar with the layout.
But they never spoke of any objection?
No.
Just in the research on this, was the barn permitted originally, or do we have a record of
I have a record of it, yeah.
going back that long?
The hypothesis is that it is from the 70s
I mean, there
sometime.
was a long period where agricultural shovelings weren't permitted,
Right.
didn't require permits. Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present? Yes.
Jamie, come on up to the mic.
Yeah, if you could just give your name and address for the record, and if there's any additional information that you feel needs to be provided. It's a little muffled, but
Union County, type 2 on Drainage Drive, Colorado, 817. I think I'm pretty well aware of it. It's just an existing building that's been there forever and, yeah.
I understand, just every now and then trying to make things right, so, do you have any questions? Okay, seeing none, I'd ask if there's any public comment on this item. Seeing none, I'd close public comment, and, if there's any final comments, okay.
I don't have any comment.
Nor do I, it's very straightforward, so with that, and I assume the one condition of removing the sign. Okay. Yeah, so with that, I would accept a motion to approve major variance VA 20-0075 with the condition as noted.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Herring Barn major variance VA-20-0075 as requested.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this variance with the condition as specified. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Yeah, so with that, I'd accept a motion to close this public hearing and close, I'll just take a bit.
I'll make a motion to close the Board of Adjustments for Herring Barn major variance VA-20-0075.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to close this hearing and close this Board of Adjustments. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you very much. Again, very similar process, so obviously a lot more information to consider in this next one. So, as Board of County Commissioners, we'll be considering a use by special review for the for Sporting Clays Club and other additional requests. So with that, I guess I would accept a motion to open a hearing for SUR SU 18-0067.
I'll make a motion, we open the hearing for Silver Creek Sporting Club, SUR, SU 18-0067.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor to open public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries, we're in public hearing. Before we start with staff and presentations, are there any specifics that I would be able to hear in the presentation? Okay, thank you. Okay, so with that, Christina, as the planner, I know this is a hearing that's been continued on several occasions leading up to this point. And, as you can see from the SUR number going back to 2018, this has been a very lengthy process. So I guess with that, I'll leave it to staff to discuss the history of both the application and the usage that's been in place there for quite a while.
Thank you. As you stated, this is the Silver Creek Sporting Club Special Use Review SU 18-0067, which is a request to approve a special use by review to allow for sporting clay trails, shooting tower, and shooting area, and an additional 20 stations on approximately 245 acres located at 6852 Quail Run Circle, Kiowa. Data and timeline, the property owner is York Family LLC. Applicant is CJ Kirsch of Tahoe Consulting LLC. Again, the size of the property is 245 acres. Pre-app meeting was originally held October 9th, 2018. Community meeting was then a ways off, April 22nd, 2020. And there were a couple different application submittals. The first submittal was June 22nd, 2020. With a referral period from the 22nd through July 13th. And then the resubmittal came August 10th of 2020. There was no need for a second referral because the items had been reduced and the forecasted before. Planning Commission was originally October 6th, 2020 and was continued to October 20th, 2020.
original BOCC date was to have been October 28th, but due to it being continued at planning commission, they continued it at BOCC to November 18th, and due to staff availability at the time, and questionability of that, it was continued from November 18th, 2020 to today, January 13th, 2021. The notice for the original public hearings was sent out September 22nd, 2020 to property owners within a quarter mile of the subject property owners. Sign was posted on the property that same day, September 22nd, 2020. And it was in the newspaper, the Elbert County News, on September 17th, 2020. And there was also a mail notice to mineral owners on September 11th of 2020. So here's the zoning map. You can see that a lot of the properties immediately abutting this are agricultural properties. A lot of them fairly large, or most of them not as large as this property. And you can also see that there are a number of residential developments to the south and southwest. This is an aerial map, so you don't have all the developments turned on here. You can kind of see the topography a little bit and see some natural drainage ways. This is the proposed SUR exhibit, and it has a few blow-ups on it. I also have a hard copy here if we need to take a look at that closer. Then the referral process, again, is to send out, like all our applications, to this typical agency for referral. The referrals that were sent out June 22nd, and once at the end of July 13th of 2020. Health and Human Services had no objections. Division of Water Resources requested additional information, and I believe that was settled. IREA had no objections. Colorado Geological Survey had no objections. The Elizabeth Fire Protection District said that this property falls within the Kiowa Fire District. However, the Elizabeth area could be first due to this area and signage once the site would help to ensure immediate response to emergencies. Public Works had no objections. The Office of Emergency Management had no comments. Sheriff's Office had no comments. Kiowa Conservation District had no comments. U.S. Department of Agriculture had no comments. Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment had no comments, and also the Colorado Department of Natural Resources had no comments. And then there were comments from the Department of Water Resources and IREA that were addressed during the second referral, which I guess I didn't have on the previous slide, from August 17th to August 31st of 2020. Special uses are reviewed utilizing the criteria in Article 3E5A-H of the Elbert County zoning regulations. Criteria A, whether the use is in harmony and compatible with the surrounding area and neighborhood. Staff responses: this use was compatible with the surrounding area and neighborhood when it was originally approved in 1995. Development has occurred over the years since then, however. Most of Silver Creek Sporting Club sets back from the residential developments. The proximity of residential properties immediately abutting the subject property to the south, those in Willow Creek, is concerning when evaluating the applicant's plans for future growth and expansion. B, whether the use will not have an undue burden on available infrastructure. Staff response is that it is not anticipated the proposed use will have an undue burden on available infrastructure. C, whether the use will not unduly increase traffic congestion or burden the existing road system. It is not anticipated that the proposed use will unduly increase traffic congestion or burden the existing road system. A traffic letter prepared by Eric Tuan of Tuan Civil was provided with the original submittal. The traffic letter states that the highest month last year, and at that time it was 2020, so now it's that was 2019, at the club had 472 people for the month, or about 120 vehicles entering and exiting per week. Also, you may note that there was stuff that's not in this presentation but was added to the packet between the Planning Commission and the BOCC traffic counts
And Christina, could you go back 2 slides from here, please?
Two slides, yes.
Okay, thanks, there was a number I wanted to capture.
Sorry, G, it is not anticipated that this use will be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare so long as best practices and safety precautions for this type of business are strictly followed. Colorado statute precludes consideration of noise impacts for qualifying shooting ranges after January 1, 1985. Future expansions shall require appropriate governing and sound mitigation. F, whether supplemental standards are met for specific uses as applicable. The land use table also indicates that there are supplemental standards for this type of land use. All supplemental standards for this use can be found in Article 5E14. Outdoor firing ranges must be set back at least 100 feet away from all property lines and must include sound abatement and projectile safeguards. In addition to the zoning regulations, staff reviewed the application against the comprehensive plan. Found that the project supports the stated goal that Elbert County supports growth of commercial uses to provide residents with goods, services, and employment. Additionally, this project supports the stated goal that Elbert County promotes strong, diverse economic development, and 2 of the policies of that goal, EG2 and EG6. EG2 states Elbert County should encourage economic development that provides a balance between commercial and residential tax assessments, and EG6 states the county should support the development of agriculture, commerce, industry, education, healthcare, natural resources, development, tourism, and residential growth. It should be noted, though, that it is in direct conflict with EG5 that the county should encourage economic development that minimizes impact on surrounding lands. This project supports the stated goal that Elbert County strives to create an environment that encourages recreation and tourism opportunities. And the last policy of that goal, RT4, the county should encourage tourism in Elbert County. Findings, the general conformance with the Elbert County Comprehensive Plan. 2, meets the criteria for approval in the Elbert County zoning regulations. 3, Elbert County subdivision regulations are not applicable to this application. 4, it's compatible with existing land uses in the surrounding area. And as I stated earlier, that can be debated to some extent with some of the newer developments that happened over the years. 5, it will not result in significant impact to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents and landowners of the surrounding area. Staff is recommending, and that plan commission as well, the BOCC recommend approval of SU 180067, subject to the following conditions. 1, the applicant will be required to move the public hearing time within 7 days of decision by the Board of County Commissioners. 2, the special use by review shall not become effective until all fees paid, conditions of approval are met, and special use by review has been reported. 3, recordation of all appropriate documentation to occur within 180 days of approval by the Board of County Commissioners. 4, was struck by the Planning Commission. It was a condition that came up during referrals from the other gun range. I was just by staff to put that in there. But as the Planning Commission struck that, it states the property shall be assessed at a commercial rate as is provided service, not an agricultural property. 5, provide additional on-site signage to aid first responders. 6, the NRA guidelines shall be used for the construction of all pistol, shotgun, and rifle ranges to meet full attention to noise abatement and safety. 7, no projectile shall be allowed to leave the property. 8, in the interest of fire safety, there shall be no tracer ammunition or explosive targets or steel core ammunition allowed. 9, warning signs of danger approaching a shooting range shall be placed every 100 feet around the perimeter of the property, which I believe they have that on their plans. 10, no alcohol, marijuana, or illegal substances shall be permitted on the property regardless of event or in-club house. 10, the applicant shall submit a long-term commitment to perimeter trees for the sake of noise abatement. 12, future expansion shall require appropriate buffering and sound mitigation. And 13, the Elbert County zoning compliance official shall verify that all conditions of approval have been met before plans are allowed on site. That concludes staff's presentation.
No, I would absolutely.
Okay. Just, Christina, you noted the Elizabeth Fire stated it was in Kiowa Fire's area. Did Kiowa Fire receive a referral during either of these?
I would have to go back and double check.
Yeah. If it's important enough to ask the fire district, we have to ask the appropriate one.
It appears it was only sent to the Elizabeth Fire District and Fire Districts.
For that, ask the applicant to provide any additional matters that need to be considered.
Good afternoon. My name is CJ Kirsch from Tahoe Consulting. I'm here today representing the landowner, York Family LLC, and the applicant, Silver Creek Sporting Club, Mr. Chuck Whipple. He is the operator of the sporting club on the property itself. Just to add on to a few things from Christina's presentation, maybe give a little back story here. Obviously, there's a lot of history on this piece of property. It's been operated by some different people at different points in time since it opened up. Mr. Whipple opened up his business in 2018. Prior to actually purchasing the business, he did his due diligence and spoke with the county at the time, the interim community development director, to make sure that by purchasing this, that there wasn't anything that would be put at risk in terms of the current SUR. And he received an email from the director at the time he came that there would not be. He was led to believe at that point in time that he was purchasing a business that had an SUR in place, and he moved forward. Shortly after that, that was in May of 2018, shortly after that, later in the summer, the county issued a cease and desist order due to the shooting range being out of compliance. And that issue of it being out of compliance was that it was built basically on the property line. It didn't have necessary setbacks. That was all pre-existing to Mr. Whipple's involvement on the property. He went and got a grading permit, and that shooting range doesn't exist there today. So he's taking care of that. That really is the only issue that has come up. We were asked by the county around that same time to assist them. They indicated they had some issues with some of the documentation and the previous SURs, and because there were 3 different amendments, that they wanted to try to consolidate all that into one, and asked us if we would do that, which is really why we're here today. We're not proposing new uses. These are all the existing uses that have been approved prior, and what going forward we asked for in exchange for that, having to go through this whole process, was to add an additional 20 mobile shooting stations. There's currently 20 on site right now. The additional 20 was proposed to help grow the business a little bit more. And outside of that, this is essentially the same SUR that existed prior to the county asking us to amend the existing SUR. The only difference I can say that exists is we elected to drop the dog kennel use, which was an approved use out there, so that's been dropped. The overall property at this point in time has been fenced off for a number of years with 245-acre piece of property. It's obviously been recognized in its entirety for this particular use. We are with this request asking for the additional 20 shooting stations that would be located here on the southern end there with that hatch. All of the shooting stations that you can see, there's a pathway that has a polygon type alignment there, so all of the shooting stations are pointed away from any sort of residence. The Willow Creek subdivision is there to the south, as I mentioned. Everything as far as shooting stations go point in towards that pathway, and there is a 100-foot setback, which was a requirement not only for that area, but the rifle range is at some point in time something that will likely be built. Again, this time it will be built, in accordance with the plan and the setback. So there's a 100-foot setback in there, and then the other area where you can see the additional shooting stations would be up there on the far north end of the property today, which is where you see some of the upland bird hunting that occurs today, keeping out there. A lot of that all follows the drainage path that diagonally cuts through the property. We obviously spent some time with the planning commission discussing the different conditions, and we're able to convince them on the condition that was removed, referring to additional taxing, which we're appreciative of, and we have some concerns for some of the other conditions, which obviously we can speak more to, in particular to some of the conditions that are a result of the additional shooting stations. Other than that, I think I just wanted to provide a little background on where we are today, or where we got to where we are today, and hopefully that helps. I can certainly answer specific questions.
Before we open for public comment, you said you had some concerns on additional conditions that were recommended. Could you kind of let us know which conditions those were, what were the concerns?
Yes. What is now condition 9, no alcohol, marijuana, or legal substances should be permitted on the property. Number 10, the applicant shall submit a long-term commitment to perimeter trees for the sake of noise abatement. And number 11, future expansion shall require appropriate buffering and sound.
For a moment.
repeat that. Pardon me?
I'm not sure I understood the comment. Are you saying you have, you object to this?
Yes. As far as the alcohol,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm hoping you're not proposing that we allow illegal substances on that.
no.
Let's let this clear out.
sorry, guys.
That's clear.
There never has been any sort of support for using the illegal substances. The business has never sold alcohol. However, what we would like to be able to do, because we do have certain tournaments that exist out there, is to hire a company like Peak Beverage, who has all the licenses and systems in place to be managing distribution of that during that sort of event. None of the alcohol is for sale. It's sort of something that's arranged with the tournament organizer itself. But the Silver Creek Sporting Club is not in the business of selling or distributing alcohol. Obviously, the legal substance part we don't have any issue with. So that's the first one.
Okay, and just, again, we can circle back to these at the end, but I assume that the intent, if you're holding a special event with alcohol, you go through the county standard, special event permitting process for.
Yeah, but if the event,
Yeah.
follow that or require that sort of a permit. And yes, it's my understanding that Peak Beverage does some business currently in the county, and I believe they have a good reputation.
What were the other?
Yeah, the other are the next two applicants shall submit a long-term commitments for perimeter trees, the safe and noise abatement, and future expansion shall require appropriate buffer and sound mitigation. Obviously, this is probably the thing that has garnered a lot of attention. Our position here is that what we're asking for is the ability to have 20 additional stations. We're not expanding the area that has never been considered part of Silver Creek. This area has been fenced off, it's been designated and regarded as this business. All we're asking for is the additional 20 stations. Because of that, we don't believe that we are obligated to provide any sort of noise mitigation due to some state statutes that indicate that, if the shooting range pre-exists on the residential development, then, they have some protection. Like I mentioned, we're not disregarding the fact that you've got some residences immediately to the south. We do have a 100-foot setback in there. The direction of the shooting stations themselves are all pointing away to the north. There's actually a very unique geographic layout in that area to where the sound is somewhat contained because of the way that area is lays out, so topographically. So we're just asking really to be able to bring in 20 new stations. We've already got 20. We'd like to add another 20. It helps Mr. Whipple's business grow. And there really is no other impact with the additional 20 stations that's been brought up here.
Thanks. Okay. with that, I'd open this for public comment. I think there was a sign-up sheet in the back. I don't know, Amanda, if you could pick that up. So we'll go in the order that folks initially signed up, and then if we have other folks that would like to speak, we'll take those comments. Yeah, as published, we certainly received a lot of commentary prior to the hearings. It's included in the packets, and no specific requests for anybody that was watching this from home to call and make public comments. So, comment will be limited to those that are present in the room. Okay. First person we had was Amanda Bradley, Alderman Bernstein, on behalf of Silver Creek.
I would put my name on there in case I need.
Oh, all right, okay. So if you have comments after you hear public comment,
Okay, thank you.
that I'll leave to CJ to coordinate applicant's response. Same with Nikki Brown.
Same thing,
Same, okay, thank you. No. First one is Mr. Keith Westfall.
My name is Keith Westfall, 345 Comanche Kyle, Colorado. I've been associate's not the right word, but involved in different processes in this since its inception back in 1995. I know the process this thing's been through basically up until now. I've been part of most of the previous use by special reviews that happened. This thing, when Chuck took over, he's done nothing but improve it. It was a mess. It was a junk pile. That's my understanding is that's why the previous person that leased the property was gone. He wasn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. Chuck came in, cleaned it up, does things right. I don't know how many of you guys have been out there, but compared before then to now, it's a huge improvement. It's nothing but better. He's not trying to do anything now that hasn't been done in the past. I mean, he's not really, he's just trying to make it, he's just trying to get things up to standard with the county, They, honestly, when the previous guys had it, they had more than 20 stations there. They did it for years. Chuck's just trying to remedy that. He's not trying to do anything that hasn't been done in the past. You guys talking about the subdivisions around it. The subdivisions to the west were originally owned by the people that started the gun club. So the gun club was even there before then. They were fully aware, and everybody since then has to have been fully aware that there's a gun club there. They're moving next to the gun club. The property to the south, Willow Creek, I was involved in all that when Willow Creek came in there. There was an agreement made with the Board of County Commissioners, and I'm sure that it's recorded. There was an agreement made that the county commissioners and the county signed off on that they could never dispute this gun club and its right to be there. That was all in agreement with Willow Creek. It's there. I know it is. It's there. You guys have, the Board of County Commissioners has already agreed that that's fine. That's the way it is. The gun club was there long before Willow Creek. Every one of those people, from the initial owners to the ones now, should have known when they bought their house that there's a gun club there. That's the way it is. You know, the sound thing, I agree, there's state statute and that's exactly why it's put into the statute, is to protect these clubs against stuff like this from neighbors. And the sound out there, I totally agree with CJ. The way the topo is,
Okay, thank you.
Well,
I
yeah.
appreciate 3 minutes.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and we do try to keep public comment to 3 minutes, so, I apologize, I can't quite get the first name, but there was a McFarland from Tin Cup Court. Yes, sir. Yeah, if you could.
Need to have a
Oh,
comment, but, I just came back to sports club, I've been here about 10 years. Before Chuck took over, and this last year I went to July, we did a lot of improvements, and I think it's a valuable resource, and, that's all I have.
okay, thanks. Forrest Thompson.
Everything I wanted, I've heard, I have nothing more to add.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yes, excuse me, sir. I would also ask as folks come up that you give your name and address for the records, or you've been up, and I've got you down as Forrest Thompson, 12558, West Maryland Place in Lakewood, is that correct? Okay, but yeah, I would ask as you come up to just give your name and addresses for the record. So, Stanley Orr, is it?
Stanley C. Moore at 2125 Briarly Court in Castle Rock, Colorado. I'll take about 1 minute to say that we have been most impressed. We have several members of the club here who use it regularly, and we have all been impressed with the cleanliness, the well-organized services to the club members, to other shooters, and we strongly endorse that the idea of additional shooting stations would be great. The initial impact of them would probably be to spread the shotgun noise out over a lot of agricultural land, and in fact, probably ease whatever they hear in Willow Creek right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Kim Simmons.
Hi.
Oh,
So I'm Kim Simons, and I live at,
Hi.
6895 Hunter's Ridge Circle. So, I'm a neighbor that actually is impacted, by the noise, and also have great concern about the lead. As from one of the members up here that gave public comment, said it was a mess. So since 1994, how has the lead mitigation been cleaned up? How, I've actually talked to the EPA, because I had concerns about what that should look like if you live next to a gun range. And I submitted, his recommendations, Jesse Newland, who had all the material that was open for public record, that I obtained and researched. And part of that is that it shouldn't be in wetlands, because it's hard to clean up. It's very detailed. It's actually a good way to look at your, best management practices. But that's a very big concern, because I believe what the neighbor also had some environmental concerns. The other gun owner that got denied, in June. When I read that, it was concerning me again, because we are all on law water. And who's gonna make sure that the lead
between, it was either Donna or Donnie, from 6891 Hunters Road. If that's, sorry, I am not a handwriting analyst. Oh, there's no problem. I just want to make sure you get everybody. Yeah, if you could speak directly into the microphone, thank you.
My name is Donna Hicks. I live at 6891 Underwood Circle. And I do sell places as you are. They'll make the range 6 times larger than what the original range was. And the current use, they have put in a new play range on the hill. And that is super loud to us. We were inside, outside our house. We cannot.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Can you get closer to the mic? I'm old and I don't hear very well.
Have that problem. Should I start over?
No, they just come get closer to the mic.
Okay. Some new range that is just above the proposed expansion. It's going to have 20 new stations. It is going to be super loud. The ones that are already there, we have decibel readings like 65 up to 70 inside our house. So the natural barriers they're talking about is not working. And the proposal for 6 times larger, that is enormous in a high density residential area. Not only traffic and environment, and I know, I'm not going to go through it, you guys are all aware of that. But it is, it's a huge. And please, think of the Delaware County citizens as we go through this. The community has spoken, they've said many things for, reasons why this should not be expanded. And I guess that is about it, but please think of us as we go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance Bakemeyer.
Lance Bakemeyer, 42125 Las Colinas Drive, Elizabeth, Colorado 80117. I am related to the first homesteaders in Parker. My family's been in the Parker area since 1864. I grew up on 3,500 acres in Parker. We raised 100 head of Appaloosa horses and 100 head of mother cows. Our property was partially sold in 1972 and was developed between 1973 and the year 2000 when the last 400 acres became that year's parade of homes. I moved to Fondas, which is near Elbert, for those that you might not know, in 2001 and have been an Elbert County resident ever since. I bring all this up because I managed the Parker Ranch with my wife and 2 children between 1987 and the year 2000. I know what it's like to have a business that becomes surrounded by subdivisions trying to tell you and the county commissioners what to do with your land by going through by having the subdivision people telling you what to do with your land. I know what Silver Creek is going through with this amendment because I have experienced it firsthand. With that information, I would like the commissioners to consider the following. This is all information from the MLS that I obtained last night. Every adjacent property on all sides of Silver Creek was purchased after Silver Creek Quail Run was in existence. This even includes John Malone's 2 parcels, which were purchased in 1996. Every house within a 1-mile radius of Silver Creek was built after the club was in existence. I have documentation to prove that. County Road 27 was the road that serviced Silver Creek / Quail Run in 1994. All the houses within a 1 mile radius that use Road 27 for access were built after the club was put into existence. I now work part-time at Silver Creek Sporting Club, and I've worked there since 2019, September 1st. There has been no worker comp claims or shooting accidents during my time there. Chuck Whipple is one of the most honest and straightforward employers I've ever worked for. He has followed the terms of the lease and has gone above and beyond in making repairs and improvements to the property while I've been there. Chuck has used his own funds to pay for the labor and material and all the improvements that he's made. They've been substantial. I've seen them. It's very much cleaned up, just like Keith said, since the previous owners vacated the lease in 2018.
If you could,
Is that 3 minutes?
that's your 3 minutes. If you
Okay.
have something key that you wanted to put out, that's fine.
I think you should approve the amendment. It's an existing business. It's been there before anybody else was around it. And all he's asking for is to increase the business.
Good. Thank you, sir. Richard Shimon-Kevitz. I hope that was close.
Yeah, Richard Schmockowitz, that's good. Schmockowitz, 8475 Court in Larkspur, 80118. And I'm just here in support of this proposed expansion. I have shot in numerous ranges, not only here in the United States and along the east, here in Colorado, along the East Coast, but also in Europe. And I can say that Chuck is running a first-class operation, and he follows all safety requirements that you would expect. And he basically wants to turn this into something that I think would be a boon for the county, both in terms of recognition and work. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. And Mr. Al Bowers.
Al Bowers, 1297 Galactic Place, Castle Rock. Like Rick, I'm from the East Coast, upstate New York. I moved here 8 years ago. And I have shot at shooting ranges from the Orbis San Donona in Westchester County to Ohio to Pennsylvania and now out here. What I've seen from Chuck Whipple and what has been improved when I shot there when Jerry owned the place is the improvements, the safety regards. I urge you people and anybody else that has not been there to come out to the range unannounced and see what this operation is all about. Everybody that works there is concerned about the same things that you all are. They want it safe, they want it secure, and they want it open. And I also think about what is the economic impact to Elbert County. There's hundreds and hundreds of people that come out there and shoot every week. That's a very important consideration as far as the county commissioners are concerned. Think about that as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The last that had signed up for comment was John Moore.
My name is John Walrath, 9494 Wilshire Street, James, Colorado. I've been shooting out at Quail Run, Silver Creek for about 6-7 years, and I can tell you that between the old operator and Chuck, there's no comparison. The facility is so much better. The clientele, the workers are so much better, and it's just a pleasure to shoot out there. And I agree with all the other comments as well. So that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now that was all that had signed up for public comment. Is there anybody present that would like to add a comment at this time? Yes, sir, if you could. And again, I just asked, state your name and address and keep your comments to about 3 minutes.
My name is Dean Blanchard, 8725 Escobar Circle, Colorado Springs.
I've shot at clubs in 18 different states, over 55 different clubs. Chuck's is one of the nicest clubs I've been to. And I've done all kinds of competitions and stuff. One thing that wasn't mentioned here, that a lot of shooters that shoot there will sometimes go to lunch in Kiowa, go to lunch in Elizabeth, gas stations, convenience stores in the area. So I just wanted to bring up the fact that we are also spending money in the local towns, local businesses, every week.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any other comment? Yes, sir.
Steve Darrow, I live at 11500 County Road 110 in Kiowa, Colorado. And I've been shooting at Quail Run / Silver Creek since 2003. And everything that all these other gentlemen have said about Chuck's running of the club and how he's improved it, I agree with. Something that hasn't been brought up is when I shoot there 1 or 2 times a week, I see families there with young boys and girls being taught how to shoot responsibly and safely. That is a key aspect for our county. And I think it's a blessing that we have something like this in our county where our children can kind of learn how to be responsible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I did see another hand go up. Yes, sir.
I'm Dr. Jerry Crawford, 7539 East Lake Cliff Way, Parker, Colorado. Before I got my doctorate, I was a retired Navy helicopter pilot. I'm a 100% disabled veteran. After my 4th back operation, I had to give up golf. So shooting is not the only recreation I have. I've shot in Elbert County since 1985. I think the Daybirds and back when Mel York opened the place, and Chuck is doing a marvelous job. I appreciate his business plan because I need a place to shoot. So anything that can make him more comfortable in his business, that suits me just fine. Because I need a place to shoot. I don't need somebody to come in, move in after an airport is built and complain about the noise of the airplanes. It's the same kind of consideration. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Alrighty, I guess I'll just take our last call for public comment. Okay, so seeing none, I will close public comment at this point. And before we ask the applicant back up to respond to any of these, are there any specific items you'd like to hear addressed?
Yeah, I'm puzzled by the applicant because he decided on the Quail Run or whatever it was deal, and some of the things we asked there, I was expecting to hear here. There is going to be an incremental gain in noise. There's going to be more traffic, especially if we add the 20. I agree with Keith over here that the existing outline of activity is approved, and it would be very difficult to say no. The incremental part, though, is going to affect the community. And I do think that it would have been incumbent upon the applicant to talk to the community and see if there wasn't some mutually agreeable deal. And the other thing is that bothers me the most is you didn't submit an implementation plan, something that we required of the Quail Run. And it would be very difficult for me to vote affirmative if you don't have all of these 13 conditions of approval from the Planning Commission, how we'll implement them, and the timing of those implementations. I'm very uncomfortable with some of the things in there because there's a lot of what ifs in there. I want to know what the ifs are. For example, the gun range, maybe a berm someday. These things, if they are real, then they should be addressed. Or And I would advocate limiting without those kind of things, and that you have to come in for another SUR amendment. And I would prefer not to be there.
One thing, is brought up about the lead mitigation and stuff like that. I'd just like to hear, what's been done in the past and, what your plan is to make sure that, we don't have a problem with that.
And that would be part of the implementation plan.
Rick, kind of my point is, we've received quite a bit of input over the last several months from folks that aren't present here today, but generally they surround the issues of noise and additional noise, road and traffic safety, general cleanliness of the area. I know there's two different businesses operating adjacent to one another and using that road. And again, it's, I don't think lost on any of us that just about everybody in favor, and this isn't a judgment, does not live adjacent to those that express concern, do live very close. So just if you could talk a little bit about the community relations and that as well.
And the alcohol one, you may have to get a liquor license if you want to serve.
Yeah, that would be I'll look at the clerk on this, but that's, if you're not selling, you don't need a permanent license, but obviously temporary licenses for events. So, but that, turn it back to the applicant, if you'd like to address, what you've asked for.
Yeah, I did, obviously I wrote down, all the questions and comments, to respond to them. I did want to just follow up on, one thing that, Keith, mentioned, and I do have a copy of the Willow Creek plat that was recorded. It is, note number 7. It does speak specifically to the fact that, they are acknowledging that the, Quail Run Gun Club is in place today. And so everything that Keith had mentioned is accurate. It is a recorded document. As far as lead mitigation goes, there was the previous owner was in the business of cleaning up the lead on his own. It was tested just prior to the sale, and the continued ongoing testing is a plan that the owner and operator have in place. And obviously, today's outcome is allowing them to do that. I did want to add, I forgot to mention one thing as far as the conditions go. Condition 5 is another item that we wanted a little clarification. And this is speaks specifically to the rifle range itself. And maybe this helps Commissioner Bear's position on this one issue. It's an approved use. The plan is to reestablish it in conjunction with NRA guidelines. It was never built in compliance, so that's the reason it was taken down. Because it was an existing use, continues to be a use that Mr. Whipple plans to move forward with at some point in time. And it's part of an existing SUR. We did not think there was any more need to do that. I think there is a distinct difference here between Silver Creek and the previous application, Quail Run. This piece of property has had this business operating on it legally and in compliance with the SUR for a number of years. I think you're talking about a black and white situation for us to have to go through all the implementation processes that you asked Quill Run to go through. Makes sense for them. They've never been approved for any sort of SUR. We have. We've been operating this business. Mr. Whipple's been operating this business in conjunction with that. So it kind of seems like we're taking steps backwards to put an implementation plan in place. I think at this point in time, we've addressed the issue with noise. We're basically just asking to have additional shooting stations added to an area that has been a part of this business. So we feel that we have addressed the noise in terms of the location of it down on the southern end, the direction of the guns that are being shot. So it's not as if that we've totally forgotten that.
Without an implementation plan, you know how I'm going to vote.
So it's my understanding that expanded areas on the south part of the property, right? More on the eastern side, southeast corner.
That's one area made up on the far north end, where they have something that would occur. I think there will also be, that would be another location where one of the additional stations could be located.
But the original SUR, I don't remember it including the full 240 acres. I thought it was just a separate area down around the creek that was what the SUR was approved for.
Yeah, over time, obviously, this whole piece of property has been regarded as the gun club itself. I think the Willow Creek plat speaks to that, recognizing the area immediately to the north of Willow Creek as part of the gun club.
No, and I realize that no one's on the plat, so I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, to me, looking at the prior SUR had a circled area where all the stations were and stuff like that. Now we're including the new area to the southeast and stuff. I just want to clarify that that's essentially what's happening. Is the other stations have been down along the creek bed and stuff, and now this is more going up on the hill or whatever up on the south part of the property. And as far as the lead and stuff, do you have the records and stuff showing that the lead has been cleaned up and environmental concerns have been taken care of since it was sold?
It's my understanding that is the case.
Okay.
A lot of good commentary on improvements that have been made since Mr. Whipple began operating there, and I'm not sure, CJ, if you have the detailed information, or it might be Mr. Whipple, but folks have commented that since the new operation started, that there seems to be more noise. Has there been a change in where firing points were located, or the layout of the land dramatically between the previous operator and yourself? Or is,
the stations are typically very close to where they were before. As a matter of fact, station 1, which moved furthest south, has actually moved north.
and the orientation?
Yeah,
in interior.
Because I heard a complaint from a neighbor stating that it was loud, so we moved it and changed the ambulance. Well,
Yeah, you're willing to, I'm willing to accept the continuance and, the next time you bring us an implementation that includes the planning commission's, conditions of approval and how often you schedule lead removal and give us an idea of what to expect. To be quite frank with you, the way this is written here, I don't know why I'm approving it. Because I don't know how it's going to be done, when it's going to be done, how it's going to be facilitated, all of those kind of things. And I was very, very surprised that there wasn't one included in the package, because we made, at least I did, made a big deal out of it for the other one. Now, the aerial extent of this thing has changed, if you recall, I was on the planning commission for 14 years. And I think I was trying to remember at least 3 of these changes I was involved in. And at one time, it was then called Quail Run, included parts of the adjacent property. So the whole idea that this thing hasn't changed is not true, or else my memory is fading. But I don't care about the memory as much as I need an implementation plan.
Let me just paint this picture a little differently. If we weren't here requesting additional 20 stations, we're back to the county asking us to put this amendment in place to kind of help them consolidate and make everything all fall on one SUR. There really is no new operation in place. I don't know that implementation plans were put in place for the previous SUR or the amendment. So that's the only difference is the additional shooting stations. Outside of that, if we were to drop that request, we're back to the original SUR. I don't know why we're being,
If we go back to the original SUR, there's nothing I'd like to say, because you're, you are making an incremental business growth. You're incremental in the size of the noise, probably. So, and the planning commission gave you very specific guidelines. And when I talked to the planning director, not the planning director, the chairman of the planning commission, he said that he had anticipated that you would be willing to comply with all of these things.
We have that on record. I was very clear that we were not comfortable accepting all those.
So it's up to us to decide whether we want to accept it without it. I just want an implementation plan. I want to know how you're going to do it, how you're going to handle the incremental noise, how regularly do you do the lead, and basically address each one of these 13 deals. You don't need my vote. There's 2 others. I don't know how they're going to vote. It's not my business. But for me to vote positively, I would be happy to have you ask for a continuance, and then you come in with an implementation plan. If you choose not to do that, that's up to you.
If we drop the request for the additional stations, are we still obligated for that implementation plan to provide that?
No, because you're not doing anything incrementally. At least in my mind. I defer to our attorney on that, but I think what it is, if I understand it, if they don't change the existing SUR that was approved by prior commissioners, that they don't change the modus of operation, then nothing's changed.
Well, to be specific, Commissioner Terrace asked us to prepare an implementation plan, and I have said if we aren't adding those additional 20 stations, do we need to provide an implementation plan? He did not think we needed to, and is asking me.
I think where we're at right now is you have an opportunity to either ask for continuance and provide that, or not move forward today. That's my understanding of where we're at. It's up to you if you want to provide an implementation plan or not.
Well, I think just knowing the answer, Bart helps us understand if we want to continue or if we can ask for a vote. I mean, it's an option, it sounds to me, if we were to drop the additional 20 stations, and that would obviously allow them to vote on.
I would be amenable to that.
Right. I mean, I'm just trying to understand what we have to make this decision off of.
If it's helpful, kind of my next questions were on the 20s. I mean, there's currently 20 firing stations, and so
Right.
doubling that, and just looking at the requirements for, the traffic letter had specified a certain number of vehicles per day that they had found. If we're doubling the firing points and then adding back in, direct fire ranges, potentially you're pushing beyond what goes back into the original SURs on, potential traffic improvements. I think they had 40 vehicles a day tagged to.
Yeah, and just let me speak to that, I didn't get into that, but Public Works, Road Bridge did go out there and monitor traffic or trips for a week. It happened to be a warm week. If you guys know anything about hunting in the fall, if it's warm, you're going to get a lot of people show up. What we did do, and this is what Mr. Tuin's traffic report stated, he got from Mr. Whipple the actual numbers for the previous year of each month. And, based on that, the highest month that we saw was a total of 24 vehicles per day. So I get that week here that Road and Bridge took those counts were a little bit higher, but it was a unique situation. On an average, we're just not seeing that many. There are about 70 parking spots down on the property. This isn't parking that's being placed on the roads at all. So we don't see any issue with the expansion and our ability to continue to have on-site parking satisfy the additional expansion.
And then, I guess generally I'm not even sure if there was a response to this. I do recognize that this operation, there's been a gun operation or shooting club in that area for quite a while. It has expanded a bit over time. It expanded onto another property. That property's now under different ownership. A portion of what had been approved over time was on that separate property. So if nothing else, I think it's appropriate to ensure that we've documented something that's associated with this parcel that's under consideration versus Xing out things that may no longer be in existence, but then claiming that the use on that other property is part of this SUR on this property, and potentially then looking at, so where is that use going to be if it's not specifically on the site plan for this property? And I think that I was on the planning commission when the 100-yard range was approved, and that's the one I believe that kind of straddled the two parcels. It was right up on the fence line, and then all the other ranges were outside that property. So if we're talking about what was approved originally, as a use on the current property was a single 100-yard range. Everything else was approved on a different property, and I don't think that transfers onto a new one. So yeah.
Okay, a couple things. The 100-yard range was on the other property.
Okay.
So the plan would be, we would actually, the rifle and pistol range would be small. So there'd only be one rifle range, 100-yard rifle range, and one pistol range. And if you have a drawing that we more happy to show you.
Yeah, that would be useful.
And along with those shooting scenes, this is a future expansion for Silver Creek. This is something that's not going to happen immediately. Each one of those swims, by the time I build the stadiums, by machines, and all the equipment to run it is about $10,000 a piece. I am not going to be able to invest $200,000 in equipment tomorrow, I assure you. I'm asking for a future expansion so that I don't have to come back to add some more stations, in the future. And that's really what I'm looking at. I assure you, this would not be immediate expansion. We'd love to put the weapons history back up to their drawing we do right now.
And that can be included in your implementation plan.
Pardon me?
And that can be included in your implementation plan.
Okay. Let me get you the map.
Like I said, it's always, if we're considering approval, it's nice to know exactly what we're approving.
And the shooting range is shown on the SUR. What he's gonna show you is a little bit more specific as far as the layout.
Okay, well, we got two copies.
And just so the commissioners are aware, is that something you're considering and looking at, we will need to make the park record?
And if we, just to make this document part of the record,
Oh,
is something that we are considering. And again, if it will be a future expansion at that expense, and not to go into the detail of an expansion plan, but is this something that you would, are you looking at setting in, when money is available, an additional set of 20 targets, or incremental over time, one or two more targets? I mean, is this something that,
Right.
you're looking at doing in 5 years from
Right,
now,
yeah.
5 months from now? Where are we at in this?
Obviously, I need to have the business to support that.
Correct.
At this present time, I do not have that business. When we were asked to redo the paperwork, we've redone the expensive work for that as well. And so the only thing I asked for, and that's why I put in the 20 stations, is for the future. Right now, I don't have enough business to put in those stations. What I would like to have is the opportunity, especially in the winter months, is to move a few of those stations away so I can use up toward that area, so that I can, my hunting areas are a little bit more open, let's put it that way. Because I get cramped in the winter, because I can't shoot at the hunting area. So it would be really more of the accessibility to some of that property, which wouldn't be way back to the south, it would just be just across that little fence in there, at this point, to use. But like I said, it would be depending on as the business grows, then I would be able to add those stations.
And again, just so I'm clear, adding 20 or adding incrementally over time?
Yeah, it would be.
There would be a full set
Yeah.
of new.
No, it would be incrementally over time, maybe, every year, let's say, I could put in 2 more. Something that, 2, maybe 3. I mean, it just depends on how the business goes. But you also have to have the business to expand it.
Yeah. And I'm just, like I said, I'm trying to get my arms around it. Again, just the impact on the community, if increment, if we're, it's one thing to say we're gonna double the operation tomorrow, that's another to say over a 5 to 10 year period,
I'm gonna say
it may double.
5+ years, we get to, easily. It's just, and that would be if I had the customer base as well. So, I mean, I have to have that customer base to be able to fix that.
And not proposing a condition at this time, but just, would you, would you be amenable to an allowance of allowed expansion, but, not to expand, until 2025, allow your business to grow, allow some time and space for the neighbors to know what might be coming, and I'm not hard pressed on that horizon, but it just sounds like from what you've been discussing, it might not be unreasonable to provide neighbors that may decide that living next to the expanded gun range isn't one that they want to do, but there's.
Sure. So, I guess I have to understand exactly what you propose.
Yeah. If it were a condition that the, an additional 20 firing stations would be approved with no construction prior to 2025.
Oh,
So
I couldn't put anything over there till 2025?
no more than the 20 stations. If you relocate stations, that's one thing, but not going beyond the initial 20 stations, regardless of where they're located, not to add additional stations for the time frame.
For 4 years?
Yeah, 4 to 5 years, if that's, I'm just trying to, it's reasonable, and so people can see what the expectation over time may be. I understand there's a business impact potentially.
Right.
Yeah.
That's tough. 5 years, I mean, I would like to go advance some stations.
Yeah, just like I said, I'm just kind of.
No,
I recognize right now, I would say a thriving business, and ideally you're looking at a growing business, and leaving up the balance a bit.
We were trying to put myself, I am trying to put a clear, club event club, and we're driving to get there. I know this is growing,
No, so I guess where I'm trying to get towards is always a happy meeting. I mean, we know nobody's ever entirely happy.
Correct.
And trying to make people equally unhappy is an easy thing. But if we can provide some assurance that your business continues to be an ongoing operation that's got the protections of an SUR, but at the same time, people in the neighborhood may need to be making some decisions of whether they remain long-term residents, have some time to make that decision.
So do we make it when it be so many per year? Something like that.
I mean, to me, that makes more sense, is
If we were no more
so many per year rather than limiting it for 4 or 5 years, because I mean, if you're a business owner and you're limiting what you can do as a business owner, to me, that's not practical.
Yeah, but that makes sense to me as well. If we talk, the addition of no more than 2 stations per year going forward.
Why not make it 5, so you got 20 stations in 5 years? So what you can get what you want.
No, I know, I think that makes more sense as a certain number per year to add.
Right, could we do, maybe, like 6, 6, 6 type of thing per year? I don't think I don't know that I'll get 20 in 3 years, but as a business, I think the growing.
I'm not trying to make this too artificial, but provide something. So if it was no more than 3 additional per year, and no more than 20 max, I think that gets you what you would just ask. So over 3 years.
Why are you reluctant to document this?
My plan, we're not here.
We're not documentation plan. Talk about the implementation plan. we've never been asked to provide, it's not a requirement, wasn't part of our comments or anything, so we would like to get out of here with a decision. I mean, this has obviously been going on for a long time, and I feel like we feel like we've worked with the county in every step of the way. We weren't the cause of what the cease and desist order was based on, but we corrected it. The county has asked us to come in here and help clean up the paperwork with the SUR. We've done that. We just wanted to have a decision today. So because it was never asked before and it's not a requirement, we never put an implementation plan together.
No, so, back to this other, with 3 additional stations per year, and no more than 20 additional stations, would that work for a measured expansion plan before you?
Are you saying 3 a year?
Yeah, if I think, or did you said 6?
No, I said 6 a year or 3 years.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
yeah.
maybe 8.
Yeah, no,
I mean, we could
yeah.
split hairs.
You're correct, and I apologize that
Yeah.
you had said 6.
So if we did it over.
No more than 6 per year.
Right.
No more than 20 additional.
We'd be too short on that last.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
As long as we're all in the same.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a good year.
Well, yeah, I mean, but would I have the opportunity to also be able to use that area as well without adding any more stations?
Yeah, I think that's a yes in my mind. I mean, if you're not adding stations, you're
Right,
right.
I mean, so that way I can move that. I mean, not that I'd be moving all into that,
Right.
that field, but I'm just saying, having that opportunity so that I can make the business run, especially in the winter months, and make it safe for customers, shooting, hunting, everything, it ties my hands.
Yeah, no,
I would be agreeable to say, if I could do that, 6, 6, and 6 for the 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, well, 6, 6, and 8.
Yeah.
How's that?
Okay.
Would that be agreeable?
Yeah. That works. Now, on the original conditions of approval, you can pull those back. The last one, actually, to me was that one that you had a problem with? Because number 13 that's here, because the way I read that, you would cease operating until all your conditions were approved, and that does kind of counter the path we've been on for the last several years. So
Yeah, no, thank you for adding that. Certainly not one that.
now, I do think knowing, correct. There's a replacement for that condition of approval that we can talk through the specifics of the one above them, but if the final condition of approval were, or that a plan would be provided to the compliance officer that addressed how you were going to achieve the other conditions, I think we're kind of where we need to be at that point. So our compliance folks actually know what the intent is. He can schedule his visits. He knows what he should be going out to look for.
And that's the intent of the implementation.
Yeah. But if we could go back to condition number 1 and just kind of work through these, because I think there are some refinements, at least to know what it is we have potentially on the table here.
So 1 and 2 obviously no issue, 3 no issue, 4 is been removed. 5 we don't have any issue. We have signs, we'll continue to add signage. 6, part of it is fine, and then the back half of it, it's an existing allowed use right now. So, I mean, obviously we're gonna fall in our guidelines, we don't have any issue with that part of the condition. But noise abatement, for rifle ranges, it wasn't required before. We're asking that we continue to event approved use. We're shooting into a berm, it's not, and they already got it. So if you look for suggestions, I would say, everything is okay, with the exception of the second line of that condition.
I would assume that in following NRA guidelines, you're following NRA guidelines, and, paying particular attention to one aspect and not all of it.
Right.
Really is kind of, I'm assuming you would pay particular attention to the safe construction and appropriate materials, and you could make a list of everything. So I think just the general following of the NRA guidelines is the appropriate, the actionable.
Yeah, number seven's fine, obviously. Project out the property. Number 8 is fine, already has signs, we'll continue.
The numbers, there was one struck.
So that's right, correct.
Warning signs.
Nice, correct, signs. And you want that around the entire 250 feet, is that correct?
I think it's appropriate to fence people out
Okay.
from wandering inadvertently onto the range if they come from Malone's property hunting or trespassing, whatever, but they aren't inadvertently walking into the downrange area. For the,
So, Mike is speaking with
yeah,
number 10, these drugs are, that's part of our great rules and regulations of the club.
yeah.
Alcohol and marijuana, drugs of any sort is not allowed. It's not, you're not allowed to drink before shooting, during shooting, or doing any drugs. So that would be, I think really the key was the way that was wrote. Couldn't have anything at all, either an event or even the clubhouse, couldn't have alcohol at all. All we're saying is that some of the private parties, after all the shooting is done and everything like that, they have auctions and they raise money for fundraising, things of that nature. And yes, sometimes they do serve some alcohol, and that's when we could have third party, third party. We do not want an alcohol. We don't want to serve it. We don't want to sell it. We do not allow alcohol.
I would think this would be akin to, say, the Stampede Rodeo getting a special event permit for liquor and beer, but the Cowboys aren't riding drunk on bulls. I know that's, I don't kind of be facetious. Yeah, I think this would be more properly specified that special event liquor permits will be obtained prior to any special event.
Correct.
If your rules already, if the range rules already preclude them, then that could just simply be a condition that your range rules continue to ban the use of illegal substances, marijuana.
Safety is the most up. We run a game, so safety is number one, and that's not allowed. It's just what the road is, makes it out, doesn't matter, you can't have it at all.
Yeah, number 11, we prefer not exist at all.
Well, I think it comes down to the noise abatement and things like that with the NRA guidelines, but I mean, to me, for, trying to do something for the community around you,
I don't know if we need to make it a condition, but I think it's something you need to consider is trying to help out the situation with the surrounding neighbors. Like I said, I don't really see where it needs to be a condition, but I think it's something that you need to consider.
And just to clarify, I think 11 and 12 are one and the same in terms of our position on this.
Yeah, and I would certainly be focused on that southern boundary where you're closest to homes. We had kind of talked 13 as potential, that's more of a plan for implementing 1 through 12 or 1 through 11, if there was one drop there, so. What I'd kind of like to do, if this is generally acceptable to the applicant and my fellow commissioners, is take a recess and work with staff to get appropriate wording that kind of captures what we've discussed. So, with that, I would take a recess until, let's say 3:40 for now, about a half hour to work through the language. I want to make sure if we're considering something, we all are looking at the same thing and the same wording on what we're considering. So, thank you. So we're in recess.
You have this much fun in Teller County?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nice to meet you. You too. When do you start full time? Oh, okay. Well, I thought.
Plug it into here.
Somebody occurred to me when I pulled in the parking lot this morning. I'm like, well, yeah. Just blinded. Good. So, I was just gonna ask what you kind of, are you starting? Where are you starting? So you're kind of acting independently, you're not just working and giving her schedule department initially technically do on
No, I got it. But if they made it.
last company. Before I started here, I've done landscape design. I went to school with grad school. And then I moved to the ranch and taught riding lessons and worked in construction, both for the tiger exhibit for the zoo and in excavation. Or doing excavation. Yeah, all of those things. Yep. It's hard to sum yourself up on paper though. My brother. Yeah, ask me questions. Nice to meet you. We'll see you around. did not understand my name. Well, sorry. Well, now it's too late. Now I have to order it for dinner.
I
I don't know about food or ice cream. It's all cool.
He's on my board.
I don't know. You think that's cool? I know. Tell me you're done. So now I just have to get the food. We still have.
Well, you can get a permanent license.
Like a heat pepper. Yes, exactly. So they would be able to come and do that event on their state license. It would not. If you're having a profit there, say the chamber does an event there, the chamber would come to me and get a special permit license. So you guys would not be dealing with the liquor at all. It's whoever you're having there. So yeah, there's different ones.
But Pink
So that
Panther,
would- yes.
They can take care of all the details.
They would do all the details, they would do it under their license, so if they're running a special event.
Right.
But like, the liquor is being donated, you still have one license, but it has to be
Give it away, raffle, whatever.
So.
I just want to make sure,
There should be an easy way to implement it. But, and they should be, if they're already doing it with the
There's already
wedding,
laws about
they don't have to.
liquor anyway, so.
I don't think anybody is expecting when you're asking to have Thanksgiving turkey shoot. That is I don't think that's what.
Is there any way that we could kind of keep track of?
What are you asking for today?
Yeah, because it says you always have to have a special written on the property.
We can say, we need a liquor license, period. So, hold on.
that's the way I read it.
I've never seen one person here who may take as many notes as you have.
Yeah, I don't.
Are you writing to your mom or?
It's keeping me busy.
I'm just trying to have a tedious.
Right? I'm taking a lot of notes, I'm just feel productive, I guess.
That's
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
That's all that implementation, something along that line is about. So I know what I'm going to do.
The way it's written right now, we make conditions of 45 days.
Yeah, I think that was the thing the three of us come up with. Is it perfect? I think it's basically doing that. Because one of the things, and this is a history problem we have, is before we had a compliance officer, and he's only been with us a year and a half or 2 years, he's kind of catching up. But we've got, I'm going to see several things out there that were approved, conditions for approval, and I've been using that in my areas. And we're compliant. And that gives me great. I'm an engineer. If I can't look at it and design it and make it work, then I say it's failed and then go back and try to find something else. And again, I'm not pushing back on what they're doing. It's just the reluctance to document this stuff.
All we were recommending
we actually have the website conditions to see that it's, well, that's, you know,
Way back.
our regulations state they have a done, has to have someone that regulation and specifically state that without talking to anyone. So, again, what I'm trying to say to you is let's figure out how we can do it in the most reasonable way for you and us. And one of the things that Lance knows me pretty well, my favorite word in the dictionary is what's fair to everything. I didn't come to that to you, I apologize.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I think we're ready.
Yes.
No, we're going to Mom tonight. My aunt and uncle in are from Nebraska.
Huh?
My aunt and uncle in are from Nebraska.
Are they the ones that couldn't make it to Thanksgiving?
No, they weren't planning on coming. It's my dad's brother.
Yeah.
That's number 10. Now?
Yeah, why does it feel so dark? Like it's dark time.
The lights out.
Oh.
We need an electrician.
Right? We should take a picture. What the heck? You were just here yesterday. Yeah, no, oh wait, he's not allowed to change light bulbs anymore.
You can't change light bulbs.
No. Probably so. Cause of that?
You're looking on it. It's a lot further east. I mean, it's just.
Nothing. I mean, that's pretty much my house. And I only got 350 for it. Well, I mean, I didn't have 5 acres. That is insane. We pay for square feet.
141 per square foot. And we got 4 and $1 million views.
So this one's at 232 is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Hi. What's
up?
I got a 4 o'clock that I'm late to. So if you guys need me for anything else.
No.
Good luck. Thanks. I need to get in gear. My mom's going to be not happy if I'm late.
Are you ready to get grounded?
Yeah. We still have some people watching.
Alright, we're gonna go ahead. I know it was a little longer than anticipated, but it appears staff and applicant have language that is at least acceptable to make some decisions on, so. Christina, if you could just roll through the conditions of approval as they've been amended.
You want me to just go back through all of them, or?
Yeah, I think that's just, or I guess we're coming out of recess. Do we need to roll, or nope? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so our first three are standard. The applicant will be required to move the public hearing sign within 7 days of a decision by the Board of County Commissioners. And 2, the special use by review shall not become effective until all fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the special use by review exhibit is recorded. 3, the reclamation of all appropriate documentation to occur within 180 days of Board of County Commissioners approval. 4 is provide additional on-site signage to aid first responders. 5, the NRA guidelines shall be used for the construction of all pistol, shotgun, and rifle ranges. 6, no projectile shall be allowed to leave the property. 7, in the interest of fire safety, there shall be no tracer ammunition or explosive parts or fuel core ammunition allowed. 8, warning signs of danger approaching a shooting range shall be placed every 100 feet around the perimeter of the property. 9, the business will establish and maintain rules that preclude alcohol, marijuana, or illegal substances, with the exception of consumption of alcohol at events with valid liquor permits. 10, no more than 6 shooting stations shall be added per year for the first 2 years after date of approval, no more than 8 on the 3rd year, allowing an increase of up to 20 additional shooting stations total. And
5 days of approval of the SUR, applicant will provide to the Elder County Compliance Officer a written plan detailing how and when each other condition of approval will be accomplished.
These conditions, acceptable to the applicant?
They are.
Any final comment or discussion? Was I think
Just a comment, this is for your information. The sound mitigation, although we didn't put it in a condition of approval, because it's a county regulation, it's very, very specific. It's a one-liner. It says if you have a commercial shooting range, you must have sound mitigation. So, that was the reason I was willing to take it out of the conditions of approval, because it is in the regulations. So, this will work for me. I still don't understand why you push back on the implementation plan, but with this last condition of approval, it's basically an after-the-fact implementation plan in my mind, so, move forward.
Yeah, so I guess with that, I'd accept the motion to approve this SUR with the conditions as stated behind me.
I make a motion, we approve Silver Creek Sporting Club SUR, SU 8-18-0067 with the conditions as approved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this SUR with conditions. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. I know it's been a long slog. You're very welcome.
I'll make a motion that we close Silver Creek Sporting Club SUR, SU 8-18-0067.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to close public hearing on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And then I did overlook, we had one application here on to open and continue, so. Yeah, so I would entertain a motion to open and continue Messer Event Center SUR SU 19-0099 to a time date certain of March 10th, 2021.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue SUR 19-0099 until March 10th. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I make a motion we close Messer Event Center SU 19-0099.
Second.
A motion and a second to close the hearing on Messer Event Center. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned.